Here are the first pictures of strike-paralyzed San Francisco in the grip of a general labor tie-up. Streets are deserted as surface cars cease running, and citizens unable to travel remain indoors. Only a few automobiles can operate because most filling stations have exhausted their supplies and can obtain no more gasoline. Motor trucks stand idle where their drivers left them. Very little food is being moved into the city, and with a threat of famine before them, crowds jam the markets. But supplies dwindle rapidly, and there is no meat to be had. To the possibility of mob violence is added fear of pestilence, while on every hand closed shops give mute testimony to the disastrous economic consequence of the strike. Mayor Rossi states the position of his administration.
I must insist, first, that law and order shall prevail. Second, that those desiring to furnish the people of San Francisco with the necessities of life must be permitted to do so without hindrance. Third, that the municipal government must continue to function. The general public must and shall be served. I again appeal to the interested parties to permit the President's Arbitration Board to settle the controversy which besets us.
Efforts of business interests to forcibly open the strike-paralyzed port of San Francisco fail. Open warfare rages through the streets of the city as 3,000 Union pickets battle 700 police. Guns, tear gas, clubs, and fists bring injuries to more than 80 persons and cause the death of 2. Listen to the strikers' side of the story.
We are asking for a general strike to keep organized labor on the Pacific Coast. We are not only asking for it, but we're going to get it.
Then, with a general strike and additional violence threatened, 2,500 guardsmen move in, commanded by Colonel Mittelstadt.
The California National Guard has been ordered into active service by our governor for the purpose of maintaining law and order in San Francisco and protecting life and property. This we propose to do at any cost.
These idle ships and piers have more than local significance. They are symbols of wasted millions and represent a backward step in our recovery program.
Hi everybody, I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films. And those probably were actually 35mm. Those came from the Prelinger collection and were some documentation for newsreels about different strikes. Some of it was San Francisco longshoremen strike, and one was, I believe it was railroad workers. Today is Labor Day, and I am, if you follow me and you know who I am, I tend to be very liberal, verging on the socialist, but I'm very pro-labor for many reasons. One, I believe that people should be paid a living wage, and a wage that allows them to live with their family in affordable housing and have food and health care. Those are things that I think are important, and I think that we should be contributing towards. So there's my soapbox. But today is all about Labor Day, and Labor Day gets pretty much is now about the end of summer and about mattress sales, but it really is about the work that labor unions have done and laborers have done to make this country great. And one of the things you can say is there's Labor Day, so you get a 3-day weekend. One, that's great. Two, the work that was done for the 40-hour work week and for overtime, for working, all those things are things that people didn't have before. And so labor unions helped do that. I mean, there's certainly not great things about labor unions, especially nowadays, but supporting laborers is important, and supporting workers is important. get things going with a song that did not make it in the toe tapping tournament, which is regrettable, but this will get you excited about work. This is The World of Work, made by same people who, Gene Starbecker, I believe, who also did some horrifyingly terrifying bus safety films, and Then It Happened, and Death Zones, and then also the Fun or Dumb series, and finally, Is a Career in Blah for You. So sing along. Enjoy.
There's something out there in the world of work that's right for you. There's something out there in the world of work inside for you. There's something out there that's bound to make it. Think of a choice, then reach out and take it. There's something out there waiting in the wide, wide world. The world of work. Reach out and take it. The world of work. Reach out and take it. The world of work.
The year you leave school, 3 million others your age will enter the world of work, many directly, others after they've completed specialized education and training. Getting one of the better jobs becomes tougher with each passing year. If you haven't started thinking about what you want to do, if you haven't begun learning about the different careers, it's time you did. In the beginning, man had to work just to stay alive, to get food, clothing, and shelter. As time passed and man's knowledge increased, his means of acquiring these necessities became more sophisticated. Today, people work for many reasons, many beyond mere survival. Work satisfies other human needs, the specific need varying with the individual. Most try to match work with their personal interests, abilities, temperament, life goals. If properly matched, the work can be satisfying and fill the need to accomplish something purposeful and useful. Some of you will want an occupation that will let you work alone, or in a group, with people, with data, or with things, depending upon your preference. Some of you will want an occupation that permits you to protect the environment, to improve living standards, or promote world peace. Only you know where your interests are and what will be important to you. With your parents, teachers, or school counselors' help, draw up a list of your special needs that work must satisfy. Finding out what is just right for you may not be easy, with more than 20,000 occupations to consider. Many of you have seen these occupations divided into groups called clusters. Whether you're familiar with 15 clusters, 12 clusters, or none at all, you'll have no trouble with the groupings in this film. The film will divide the world of work into 10 major groups and will show you selected occupations in each category. One of which may be your passport to independence, money, the recognition you want. Check them all out. Any one of these 10 categories could contain one or more career opportunities that is appropriate for you. Professional and related careers appeal to young people who want to go on to higher education. Occupations in this area offer interesting and responsible work, and often good salaries as well. Engineers, physicians, scientists, and teachers fall into the group of professions which require specialized knowledge and skills, sometimes years of education and advanced degrees. Some professions, such as the performing arts, employ actors, actresses, singers, dancers, and musicians, and require special talents and often years of training. Professional sports, on the other hand, place a higher requirement on skill than academic preparation. Newspaper reporters, accountants, advertising workers, and the clergy are also professional occupations. Many supportive careers in education, library work, recreation, social welfare require some specialized training. The success or failure of every company, no matter how large or small, the growth of every industry, organization, the efficient operation of every government agency, local, state, or federal, depends heavily on the way managers do their jobs. 6 million salaried workers and 2 million owners guide the destiny of the nation's businesses. At every level, decisions must be made. People must be supervised. Top-level managers make the major decisions and have the final responsibility for an organization's success. More and more women hold managerial jobs. Their prospects are best in retail trades, but the outlook is more promising in many other fields. This is true in the armed services as well, with the Joint Chiefs of Staff setting the policy and course for those below them in the chain of command. Technicians are involved with the techniques of detail work. Working with engineers, scientists, physicians, and other professional personnel, the technician's responsibilities may often overlap with those of the professional. Most technicians require specialized education or training in some phase of technology or science. Such training may be obtained in technical institutes, junior colleges, or on-the-job training. Draftsmen, engineering aides, X-ray, laboratory, and electronics technicians are some examples of technical jobs. Sales work can open up a whole new world for young people. Career opportunities abound both for those who like to travel and those who do not. Nearly 5 million people work in sales occupations. Some salespeople sell directly to the public. Many others to wholesalers, who in turn sell to a retailer, who then sells the products to the consumer. Poise, the ability to communicate, and the desire to serve the customer are essential for a successful sales career. Some work in sales as manufacturers' representatives, selling the wares their company makes. Some sell real estate, homes, buildings, industrial facilities, and hotels. Most sell tangible goods. Others, such things as stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Some sell insurance. Opportunities look good in most sales jobs in the future. A high school diploma is an asset to a beginner seeking a sales career. In some cases, employers will offer on-the-job training. The outlook is good in the clerical occupations, too. At present, more than 13 million people are employed in clerical jobs. The majority work in business, industry, and government. Clerical workers keep records, handle great volumes of paperwork associated with office work and business operations. Some jobs have specific duties, such as handling communications, placing and taking the phone calls, greeting visitors. In smaller companies, clerical workers may be asked to do a variety of things. While many take dictation, transcribe reports, and perform strictly secretarial chores, others invoice customers, handle money, maintain inventories, file records, reports, and mail, and see that products are shipped. Many more take the responsibility of keeping the books, the vital accounting records of their company. Computers and office machines are used in a large number of jobs. While courses in business subjects are helpful, a high school education is the minimum requirement for clerical workers. Almost all beginning clerical workers receive on-the-job training. The service occupations also offer a lot of opportunities to beginning workers. Jobs in this category provide services of every description to the American people. Everything from child care to policing streets. from putting out fires to cleaning homes and buildings. Service occupations include those connected with the preparation of food and the serving of it. Sailors, soldiers, and airmen are included in the service occupations, as are those who provide health care, grooming, and personal services. Others who work in the service occupations are related to the entertainment industry or leisure activities. Presently, 10 million people work in the service occupations. As income levels rise and more leisure time becomes available, even more people will be needed to provide services that add to our personal comfort, pleasure, and enjoyment. Or how about this, for those of you who might like working outdoors? If you'd like to have a special kind of relationship with living things and to the environment you live in, consider doing what 4 million others do for a living. While the number of employed farm workers is decreasing, there are still numerous farm-related occupations to choose from. In addition to those concerned with growing and harvesting crops and farm commodities, many work in some aspect of agro-business. Others as county agents, agronomists, and dairy production technicians, livestock and poultry production specialists. If you like to fish or raise them, there's a variety of marine fisheries occupations to consider. The work is often rigorous and on the water. If your interests lean more toward protecting forests and wildlife and preserving nature's wonders, the forestry occupations offer many opportunities as wildlife technicians, range managers, and soil conservationists. Most jobs in this category require specialized knowledge and training. Or how about exploring this group of occupations? Several million people work in a wide range of processing jobs, such as refining, everything from petroleum to sugar, treating or working thousands of materials or products. Take your pick. A knowledge of the specific processes used in a particular industry is essential. Vats, stills, ovens, furnaces, mixing machines, grinders, and related equipment or machines are usually involved in the processing occupations. Jobs range from tobacco curers to coffee tasters, from electroplaters to food processing technicians, shade matchers, to coil makers. Experience in the processing field is most frequently acquired through on-the-job training. The machine trades make up another group of occupations employing millions of workers in a wide spectrum of jobs involving forming, shaping, cutting, and drilling all kinds of metals to make the models, tools, dies in order to produce the equipment necessary to keep modern industry running effectively. And then there are mechanics and repairmen who keep the wheels and gears turning in industry, in the home, on the ground, and in the air. Every industry, from the bakery to the drug industry, employ machinists. Every product manufactured, which undergoes a number of assembly operations, is put together by people in benchwork occupations. These workers put together small parts to make sub-assemblies or small complete units. At more complex levels, workers often read blueprints, follow patterns, and assume responsibility for meeting standards. While some assemble, others sew, grind, carve, mold, paint, repair, or inspect. Bench workers are concerned with everything from jewelry to automobiles. Entry into this field is generally through training programs, either on the job or in technical schools. The largest skilled workforce in the United States build homes, buildings, highways, and bridges for a living. Nearly 3 million people work in the structural work occupations. As in some other occupations, union membership may be required. Wages are comparatively high and usually on an hourly basis. Manual dexterity is a must. The work, fabricating, erecting, installing. Everything it takes to make an architect's plan become a reality. Many of these occupations require workers to start as apprentices. Millions more have occupations in an assortment of fields not covered in other categories, such as transportation, bus drivers, trainmen, pilots, travel agents, ticket agents, porters, skycaps, depot clerks, and dispatchers. Thousands more are involved in packaging and warehousing every conceivable product manufactured or sold. Many more work for utilities, gas, electric, telephone. Thousands more are employed in some aspect of the amusement business. Many more in recreational activities, or in some aspect of the motion picture, radio, and television industry. Mining, the logging industries, and graphic arts employ many more. Yes, the world of work is big, complex, and for those in jobs they like, exciting. If its vastness boggles your mind, you're not alone. Some people know what they want to do, and their choice appears to fit them well. But many young people are uncertain and will need to explore several areas before they choose. If that's the case with you, here's a tip on how to go about it. Study careers as you would any important school subject. The world of work may turn out to be the most important subject of all. Your future income, way of life, and friends are often determined by the planning you do now. Regardless of the career areas you explore, learn all you can about the nature of the work, the lifestyles of the workers, where the jobs are, the rewards, the employment outlook, and the chances for advancement. Opportunities exist right now within your own high school to explore many of these occupations. Talk with your school counselors, with your teachers, your parents, people employed in the type of work that interests you. Keep in mind there are many films and film strips covering the world of work. Make a point to see as many as you can. Look into the careers that especially interest you in greater detail. The school library is a good source. Don't overlook magazines and newspapers. They contain information on what's happening every day. The help wanted ads are a good barometer of jobs in demand and salaries being paid. Your local state employment office listed in your phone book under state listings is a good source of information. Government agencies offer assistance. Many actively recruit for new employees. Keep in mind that the military services offer education and training in a number of specialized jobs. Training that you can put to use later on in civilian life, and they'll pay you while you study. Find out more about jobs that interest you by actually working at them part-time. Weigh the pros and cons of each career area in the world of work as it applies to you. Then consider the career that appears to best fit your needs. After that, work out a program with your school counselor to be sure you're getting the education and training you'll need to qualify for entry into the career area of your choice. Always keep in mind, if you really want to, you can specialize in some area. Examine your own talents. Develop them to the highest degree possible. Set goals. They can and will change, but for the time being, you'll be moving forward. Make your goals realistic. Determine the place in life where you eventually would like to be, and take steps to find out whether you have what it takes. Watch bulletin boards. Some firms send representatives to schools to look for future employees. Civil service offices can also supply you with job information. Your local post office lists agencies on their bulletin board, along with notices of examinations. Remember, the occupation you choose is your passport to do the things you really want to do in the years ahead.
There's something out there in the world of work that's right for you. There's something out there in the world of work inside for you. start to make it. Think of the choice, then reach out and take it. There's something out there waiting in the wide, wide world. The world of work. Reach out and take it. The world of work. Reach out and take it. The world of work. Reach out and take it. The world of work.
Out and take it. Man, I love that song. It's so good. Yeah, so this would be been shown to high school students or people considering a trade in the military, about to muster out. And it was basically an introduction to like, all right, here's all these different jobs that are out there. You need a job to work. So here's what you need to do to get these jobs. You know, it's kind of the way it is. Doesn't seem it like it, but it is kind of progressive. It does kind of say like, look, soon you will have to work. You have to make money to live. And so try to figure it out. Try to think it through. All right. This next film is long, but it is awesome. And I haven't shown it yet. It's called This Union Cause, and it is an explanation of why unions exist and the struggle in the United States. And it is very labor skewed, and so people might say like, wait a minute, but it makes a pretty good case. Again, I'm super liberal, but here it is, This Union Cause. Enjoy.
The year is 1739. In colonial America, there were free people, indentured servants, and slaves. £6 to £9 British bought a man or a woman without skills for a 4-year period. Skilled workers on the block brought in £10 perhaps, if the bidding was lively. The year is 1806. The place, Philadelphia. The defendants, a small group of shoemakers, cordwainers they were called. Their crime, combining in an attempt to raise their wages, improve their conditions of work. Guilty, said the court, of violating the law. Unions of working men are illegal, guilty as charged. This was a time when men were imprisoned for debts, when to be unable to pay your debts was a crime, and under this harsh penalty, it was not the well-to-do who suffered. In the new factories that came with the Industrial Revolution, women and children were the workers. Public schools, almost non-existent. Some voices, the poet Shelley was one, did speak out against this cruel plight. Disraeli referred to the two worlds, the world of the rich, the world of the poor. America's Walt Whitman chanted a song of democracy. Bryant upheld the right of men to join unions. And in Parliament in England, opposing the death sentence for workers who dared to protest their lot, Lord Byron declared, "You call these men a mob. It is the mob that labor in your fields and serve in your houses, that man your navy and recruit your army. Never have I seen such squalid wretchedness. And what is your remedy? Death. Is there not enough blood under your penal code?" Now the year is 1830, the place, New York, and wage earners were beginning to find their voices too. Unions, even though illegal, were organized in most cities, and working men's political parties were making demands for social justice. The 10-hour day, an end to child labor. In New York, Frances Wright, the woman reformer, together with George Henry Evans, Robert Dale Owen, Thomas Skidmore, led the campaign which established the public schools, broadened the right to vote, closed the debtors' prisons, finally. But slaves continued on the block. "I tremble for my country," Thomas Jefferson said, "when I reflect that God is just and cannot sleep forever." Some helped them escape through the Underground Railroad to Canada. Others, fighting slavery, gave their lives. John Brown. "Had I so interfered on behalf of the rich, it would have been all right. To have interfered on behalf of his despised poor, I did no wrong. Now, if it be deemed necessary that I should forfeit my life, I say, let it be done." The date, January 1st, 1863. Abraham Lincoln signs the Emancipation Proclamation. All persons held as slaves are and henceforth shall be free. Distant dreams of the youthful American labor movement beginning to come true. Land grant colleges established for farmers and wage earners. A homestead law enacted giving free land to settlers. Now for the first time, the railroads, built by Chinese and Irish laborers, reached from the Atlantic to the Pacific. A new metalworking industry came into existence, and unions, local combinations of workers until now, were growing into national bodies. William Silvis, labor's first national figure, labor's champion. I love this union cause. I hold it more dear than my family or my life. I'm willing to devote to it all that I am, have, or hope for in this world. And this union cause thrived. The National Labor Union was formed. A National Labor Party met. Then, after the Civil War boom, the crash, the hunger and violence of the great upheaval, strikes by desperate men, and state troopers called out to break them. In Pennsylvania, Irish immigrant miners, denied the right to belong openly to legal unions, had organized a secret society, the Molly Maguires, to protect their claims to justice as workers. The evidence on which 10 Mollies were convicted was found to be false, 75 years after they had gone to the gallows and were hanged. Frank Farrell introduces Terence V. Powderly to the annual meeting of the Knights of Labor, their creed, universal brotherhood. And in 15 years, 700,000 members had rallied to that idea. The Knights launch a nationwide campaign for an 8-hour day. Then at Chicago, May 4th, 1886. 4 men killed by armed strikebreakers at the McCormick Works plant. In the evening, without warning, police attack a workers' protest meeting. There is shooting. A bomb is thrown. And before the clash is halted, 10 lie dead, 100 injured. 6 years later, the innocence of the Haymarket anarchists was revealed. But again, too late for the executed, and for the Knights of Labor destroyed with them. The first Labor Day, and to lead the March of Labor with the first plan for successful union organization, 3 men appeared. Samuel Gompers, earning his way as a youth, reading books aloud to cigar makers, while they listened and worked. The other 2, Peter McGuire of the Carpenters Union, Otto Strasser of the cigar makers. Said Strasser, "We have no ultimate ends. We fight only for immediate objects." 1881, they helped to create a federation of organized trades and labor unions. 1886, it becomes, with Gompers as president, the American Federation of Labor. But the road for workers was a hard one still, and in more than one trial, defeat. Now they are pitted against the Pullman Company, makers of railroad cars. On trial is Eugene Debs, his prosecutor, the Attorney General of the United States. For the defense, the famous Clarence Darrow. The issue before the court: can a law intended to regulate business be used to authorize labor injunctions? The answer, yes. Debs went to jail, the strike was lost, the union destroyed. The turn of the century, and great waves of immigrants coming to America. Italians, Greeks, Irish, Czechs, Poles, Romanians, Russians, Jews, 1 million a year. Seeking freedom, they found slums. Seeking wealth, they found the sweatshops. But if justice did not walk their streets, Jewish immigrants found they could work for it through the garment unions they organized, enriching practical union goals with a new sense of industrial and social democracy. The turn of the century. Pope Leo XIII emphasizing the right of workers to join trade unions. President Teddy Roosevelt warning of the growing hold of monopolies, urging their regulation. J.P. Morgan, banker, putting together U.S. Steel, International Harvester, the great corporate trusts. William Haywood, head of the IWW, the industrial workers of the world, the Wobblies, organizing the unskilled. Henry Ford, engineering the modern assembly line, applying the principle of mass production. John Mitchell, helping to establish the United Mine Workers Union. These were among the dominant figures. The 20th century opens. Labor force, 29 million. The work week, 57 hours. Average weekly wage, $13. Out of the locomotive repair pits came the Machinists Union and the Murray Hill Agreement, one of the first national contracts, establishing the 9-hour day. Another step towards the 8-hour day that the Knights of Labor, a generation earlier, had sought in vain. The winds were foul, the work was hard, from Liverpool docks to Brooklyn Yard. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. But Johnny couldn't leave her, under the law. In 1895, Congress had reduced the penalty for desertion, made it illegal for officers to beat seamen, guaranteed sailors the right to demand safe ships, the right to collect their pay. But the Supreme Court said the law was unconstitutional, just as it said a law forbidding child labor was unconstitutional. After 20 years pleading, Andrew Faruseth, head of the Seamen's Union, won a hearing before Congress. And the La Follette Act of 1915 ended slavery aboard the nation's ships. (1912), the Clayton Anti-Monopoly Act. The labor of a human being is not a commodity. 1916, the Adamson Act. The great goal of labor comes into view. An 8-hour day for the nation's railroads. The new freedoms advocated by President Woodrow Wilson. A war labor board gives workers the right to organize. 1918, the First World War ends. But in 1919, no peace in the steel towns. Living in hovels, pitifully underpaid, exhausted from an endless 12-hour day, sometimes 7 days a week, once again the men sought deliverance through a union. 24 craft unions banded into a single committee. Responding to appeals in 29 languages, 100,000 workers flocked to join within a year. But the companies refused to negotiate. Said the New York World, the Pennsylvania State Constabulary, the dreaded coal and iron police, has been concentrated at commanding points. In the end, violence. The strike lost. 20 dead, 18 of them union members. Said a Protestant church commission, U.S. Steel is too big to be beaten by 300,000 workers. 1920, the labor force, 42 million. The work week, 50 hours. Average weekly wage, $35. 1924, for the AFL, a difficult period. Corporations attacking with harsh injunctions. Paternalistic welfare plans. Employer-dominated company unions. William Green, succeeding Samuel Gompers, becomes president of the American Federation of Labor. Senator Robert La Follette, Wisconsin's great progressive leader, runs for president of the United States with AFL support. Senator George Norris of Nebraska, architect of the Tennessee Valley Authority, leads a lonely struggle for public use of national resources. He and New York Congressman Fiorello LaGuardia draft the Norris-LaGuardia anti-injunction law, ending the use of federal courts to deny workers their rights. October 29, the stock market crash, and by 1930, the Great Depression had set in. Herbert Hoover in the White House. Of a labor force of 49 million, 16 million unemployed. Average weekly wage for those with jobs, $23.25. For the others, the bread lines. Factories stood empty, while hungry men searched for work, and on farms, the food surpluses rotted. Communities of shanties, Hoovervilles they were called, sprang up on the outskirts of cities. And here, in the most degrading squalor, families lived. By 1932, the Depression found millions facing foreclosure. Desperate, demanding jobs and relief, hunger marchers, needy war veterans converged on Washington. A grim administration reacted. It ordered federal troops to drive them out with bayonets and tear gas. Then, at the edge of disaster, with a banking system in collapse, a New Deal. We have nothing to fear but fear itself, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt proclaimed at his inaugural. In the rebound of spirit, 1.5 million workers joined the labor movement within the first 6 months. Along with the New Deal came industrial unions, organization by industry, not only by craft. Led by John L. Lewis, the CIO was born, the Congress of Industrial Organizations. The miners, the garment workers, the printers, the oil workers, and the newspaper men led by Haywood Broun, whose writings articulated the hopes of working people. Surveying the ferment among industrial workers, John L. Lewis declared, "He is a madman or a fool who believes that this river of human sentiment can be dammed." December 1936, telegram to Governor Frank Murphy, Lansing, Michigan. We, the workers, have carried on a stay-in strike over a month to make General Motors obey the law and engage in collective bargaining. Stop. The introduction of the militia, sheriffs, or police with murderous weapons will mean a bloodbath of unarmed workers. Stop. We have decided to stay in the plant. Stop. Corporation spokesman demanded that Governor Murphy order state troops into Flint to drive the men out with bayonets. Instead, he used them to maintain order while union and company negotiated. Finally, in mid-February, Murphy's Lincoln-like patience prevailed. An agreement was reached between a new union, the UAW-CIO, the auto workers, and General Motors, America's largest industrial corporation. When the wave of sit-down strikes had subsided, industrial unions were firmly seated at the bargaining tables. Almost. Here in Chicago, on a sunlit Memorial Day morning, a peaceful parade had formed to demand that Little Steel recognize the right of its employees to belong to a union. The huge steel companies, called Little Steel, had continued to defy the law, refusing to negotiate through a union. Their defiance erupted in bloodshed. In Chicago, on Memorial Day, 1937, 10 men were killed, all Union members, dressed in their Sunday clothes, all shot in the back. The grim truth of the massacre would never have been known, but for the efforts of a Senate committee presided over by young Bob La Follette, investigating corporate violations of civil rights. From such disclosures came the New Deal reforms, the Social Security law, pensions, unemployment insurance, a ban on child labor, the 8-hour day and the 5-day week, and at last, the Wagner Act, guaranteeing workers the right to belong to unions, to choose in government-supervised elections the union to represent them. By 1941, Ford and Little Steel were finally brought under the law. The labor force had grown to 53 million, and union membership, 14 million men and women working under signed collective agreements. Philip Murray, successor to John L. Lewis as president of the CIO, directed the organization of steel, negotiated the first Ford contract. Under Murray of the CIO and William Green heading the AFL, the two labor bodies learned to work with one another, as all America closed ranks during the national mobilization of the Second World War against Hitler's Germany and the militarists in Asia. On the home front, union members turned their energies to the national emergency. In the shops and factories of America, production soared. Through their unions, wage earners, ordinary men, free men, purchased defense bonds, donated to blood banks, helped organize industry councils, participated in rationing boards and economic councils, helped mobilize the economy. 1949, and a new union, the Communications Workers of America. Of its 400,000 members, 65% were women, marking the entry into the ranks of organized labor of a new kind of wage earner, the first big union after the Newspaper Guild to cross the line from blue collar to white. Now a new word to bedevil the worker, automation. Devices to replace human hands and judgment, starting and stopping themselves, able to manufacture, calculate, detect flaws better and faster than human hand or brain. The answer of the unions? Plan for full production. Retrain workers losing jobs through automation. Provide dismissal allowances, relocation payments, and earlier retirement. Shorter hours, longer vacations. In effect, to guarantee a new security to the wage earners in America. This was part of the vision of Philip Murray, who once had expressed it in its simplest terms. Carpets on the floors of workers' homes, pictures on their walls, and music in their lives. Unity, December 1955. AFL and CIO become AFL-CIO in its 127th year. Organized labor, 16 million strong. Under the joint chairmanship of AFL President George Meany and CIO President Walter Reuther, a unified labor movement meets in its first convention. Now the 16 million become a part of 60 million workers throughout the world, members of the International Confederation of Free Trade Unions, seeking a modern version of the justice a small band of cordwainers sought in colonial Philadelphia a century and a half ago. Remembering the inch-by-inch advances, the hard-won betterment of their lives, and the sacrifices ordinary people made, and the men who died for these beliefs. Remembering the rights and freedoms won out of a past that was cruel and unhumane, when there was not even kindness. Aware of the bright futures, and remembering still the long apprenticeship, the debt, to all those nameless men who loved this Union cause.
and not a lick of stock footage in there anywhere. We could flesh that out. I mean, I could take that narration and spend a week and find images and moving images and make it work. But I got too many other things to work on, including the fact that 20 boxes of film showed up on Saturday, which I gave all my workers paid vacation today. That is how I try to support my workers. Even my interns, I pay my interns because they are learning and they are helping me, and it just makes sense to pay them because they help the greater AV Geeks cause. But so tomorrow when they show up, it'll be like, hey, guess what? We have 20 boxes that we have to go through from different sources. But I wanted to, since I'm management, I wanted to present management side of this, of Labor Day. And this is a film made by AC Delco, which I think ultimately is GM. And this is made to be shown to their workers and their union workers about what they're doing wrong. And to build morale? No, just to shame them. Here is what it's all about. Enjoy.
What's it all about? Every day we hear the words. Words like quality, productivity, excellence, competition. Words don't seem to get the whole message across. But we can tell you what it's all about. It's about work and jobs and what's happening at Delco Products. Some of you know right now what's happening. There have been layoffs, closed doors, empty rooms, silent machines. They're moving out the equipment that was once used to build appliance motors. And this equipment is only 2 years old. It's expensive machinery designed to help us do better work, make better motors. But it didn't work out that way. These machines were bought so Delco Products could be more competitive. Now, they're moving them out, selling them to the competition. Why? Because the machines didn't work? Not really. We just couldn't compete in the marketplace. Somehow, we didn't put it all together. Sometimes, some of us didn't think it was necessary to come to work every day. The cost of quality in Dayton couldn't meet the competition elsewhere. Now, the doors are closed. 1,300 people were laid off. Some did come back to work in other areas, but a lot of jobs were lost. Many can relate the shutdown to work in the hermetically sealed appliance motor area. For them, that's where it happened. What's it all about? It's about competition. In the whole world, people are working.
making the motors that once was our job. Somebody down south, somebody out west, even somebody in Japan is doing that work. The need is still there, but the competition is getting the job done. Now you know. You say there's really nothing to worry about? We have new products coming up? Yes and no. We can't take 2 steps backward while we take 1 step forward. We need the new products and the old business too. That's the only way we can stay healthy. We can learn a lot from what happened in other industries. Most of us know that 9 out of 10 home radios are made in Japan. That industry is gone from the USA. Did you know that 2 out of every 5 pair of shoes are made overseas? Little league or big league, 9 out of 10 baseball mitts sold in the U.S. are made somewhere else. That sweater you wear to the bowling alley, where was it made? 7 out of 10 sweaters come from another land. And motorcycles? American motorcycles have just about disappeared. 19 out of 20 are foreign made. You get the picture? We're losing to the competition. It's time we recognize that working means a full day, every working day. We mean everybody. The others are gaining because we have forgotten how we made our business strong. We are only strong when everybody comes to work on time, all the time. We are strong when each person does his job and does it right the first time. How many times have you heard someone say, don't work too hard? Hard work is what made us strong. We are only strong when we are willing to compete with the whole world. There's no real way the government can save us. Tariffs and surtaxes only help for a little while. In the world market, foreign governments would soon put taxes on all goods made here. That means people in many U.S. industries lose the competitive edge. If they don't have jobs, they don't buy cars or appliances that need motors. Then it comes right back to us. We should know the facts of life. And here they are. As for appliance and air-moving motors, we're out of business. Closed up. Shut down. We didn't cut the mustard. In hermetic motors, we are operating at 50% of our capacity. That's 1/2 of what we can do. Industrial motors, we're working at 75% of capacity. A little better, but we should be running at 100%. We're 25% down. On the good side, we do have the energy absorbers to build. We are ahead of competitors in this one area. But how long can we stay that way? You can bet on this. We can't research and develop new ideas and then lose the business we had. Most of us grew up knowing about competition. If you score a field goal and the other guy scores a touchdown, he's ahead. That's what it's all about. Now, let's talk about what we can do about it. The equipment we work with is designed to be productive at a normal, consistent pace. It's the best machinery we could design and buy. But it must be run from the very moment you start your shift. If you're doing your job, you know it. But if you're not, you know that too. You see, we're paying the highest rates. We should set the highest goals for ourselves. The machines are there all the time, but they can't be used to advantage when people stay home from work. When we come to the plant, we come here with the idea that we'll do a full job for our pay. A full measure. That's what it's all about. We are the people who can really make the difference in competition. That's us. Us. Everybody has his own job. What matters is how we do it. We can't blame the other guy. It's our pride and our sense of value. If we don't do the job, somebody else will. And he or she may not live in Dayton or Rochester. The competition is out there, wherever people are willing to work at the job and give 100% effort. No amount of good management, modern machinery, or product research can substitute for our pride in our work. This runs pretty deep in all of us. We can only walk the world with dignity when we know we're giving our very best. And you know when you are. Dignity isn't the color of your shirt or the cut of your jacket. Dignity is what's in your heart and hands. Pride is knowing that you helped to build a product that can and will compete with anything and anybody in the whole world. And it's something more than that, too. It's knowing we have a place to work, and there's a job there for us. A place to work is where we find dignity. Believe me, it's how we go about it that counts. What's happened has happened. We can't replay the game and get back the jobs we lost. But we can make sure that it doesn't happen again and again. Well, we can. That's more like it. We is a big word. It's a personal word. It means a big effort from all of us. With a little pride and honest concern, we could put Delco products right back where we belong, on top. When we do it, we're buying something for ourselves. You see, this is our place. We work here. And that is what it's all about.
On pretty thick in that one. When I first saw this film, I saw it at Craig Baldwin's Other Cinema in San Francisco, and I immediately was like, I gotta find this film. And it took years, but I eventually found it. And this is why I collect films, because it does capture this time and this place and this very specific audience. And I mean, it's over the top. I mean, yes, I guarantee you that I know that there are workers who are lazy, who take advantage, but if you have so many workers who are coming in late and calling in sick, and just doing poor performance, whose fault is that really? It's not the workers' fault, it's management's fault. Management is either making unrealistic demands or they're making a crappy work environment. There's so many reasons that this is like, it's like that saying, floggings will continue until morale increases, or something like that. It's so over the top, outrageous. Anyways, we're going to end on I think it was Mitch put in this request. I can't always fulfill requests because I can't always find the film, but I happen to find this one. This one is another film, since it is Labor Day, and gives us an opportunity to think about work, and like work pays bills, and work, and what can we do to help workers. If we support the lowest tier of worker, then we're actually, I think, boosting our society. If we help to make sure that they can actually pay their bills and live in housing that is decent and get proper health care, then we're elevating the entire economy. So there's my little soapbox. Yet another one. But anyways, here is When You Grow Up. La 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 la.
Most of us have work to do, work that helps us live more comfortably and happily together. We do work that needs doing. But most of the world's work is done by grown-ups. Most of the time when you see grown-ups, they're working. Working is part of being grown up. You will grow up someday. You will get a job. You will be working. What do you want to be when you grow up? Why do people work? Why does everybody have a career doing some kind of work? People work because they enjoy doing things that are useful. And people work to be able to buy the things they need for themselves and their families. In every single career, people earn money by working to produce goods or services that the other people need or want. Everyone needs food. We all need clothing. We need housing. And we need health care. And there are hundreds of other goods and services we want to make our lives easier and more enjoyable. Because people need and want so many different goods and services, There are many different kinds of work to do. There are many different careers to choose from. People work in different places. People work in different clothes. Some people work at night. People work with different machines. People work with different skills. Almost every career requires special skills, skills which must be learned by study or practice or both. But people find it very satisfying to learn about work that they like. Do you think you would like to learn to work with your hands and with machines? You might like a construction career like this one. Everyone must learn some things from books and teachers, but no book can give you the skill to make a cabinet as fine as this one, or to know when an engine is running exactly right. Maybe you have heard the expression, experience is the best teacher. Everyone learns from experience, but experience is not the only way to learn. Some careers require a person to know a great deal of information before he can begin to work. He must learn the information before he can really begin to develop his skill. It means more school after high school, but if you like to solve problems, you might like this career. Some people who like to be their own boss open businesses of their own. Do you like to meet people? There are lots of careers in which you can meet members of your community every day. Some people like to do work that is especially helpful to other people. Nothing is more important to people than good health. Each of these jobs is a different career, but they are all needed to help take care of our health. It requires a whole group of different jobs to take care of each main kind of work that the community needs. The people of all communities need transportation. Driving a truck is an important career. But we can see that it takes many other jobs in order for the truck driver to help us. It takes mechanics to keep trucks running well. A dispatcher tells the driver where to deliver his load. Secretaries and other office workers are needed to help run a trucking business. But trucking is just a small part of the transportation we need. We need the work of everyone who has a job with the railroads. We need the work of transporting things by ship. There are many different careers that provide us with air transportation. Because each main kind of work has so many different careers, we can call each main type of work a career cluster. Construction is a main kind of work. Engineers, draftsmen, surveyors, carpenters, and many others have careers in construction. Because it takes many different jobs to build the new houses, factories, and businesses we need, construction is a career cluster. Manufacturing is another main kind of work. To manufacture the things we need, it takes hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of jobs. So, manufacturing is another career cluster. Here are some other career clusters. Main kinds of work, which include the thousands and thousands of different jobs it takes to produce the goods and services needed by the people of a big country like ours. It is good that there are many different types of careers, because different people like different types of work. But no matter what kind of work they do, most people are proud to do a good job. Because he learns new things as he works, a person can get more and more satisfaction as he works at his career. He may lead others and earn more money, too. It is important to earn the money to take care of families. And even if they could get along without them, it is very satisfying for people to earn enough for extra things they want. With so many careers to choose from, how will you choose your career? You have a long time to think about it. You have quite a while left to decide what to be when you grow up. You can't choose yet, but you can look around while you are growing up. You can think about it. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Awesome. That was a great way to end it. Thanks for tuning in today on Labor Day. And we showed films about working. We showed films about unions. We showed a film where GM was mad at their workers. It was a great time. Thank you, Nate, for contributing to the AV Geeks cause. He did that by using the super thanks button. No, he didn't. He used ko-fi.com/avgeeks, which is right there. You can also go to patreon.com/avgeeks, and that will help. Both of those things will help pay for coffee, but it will also help us pay for all the shipping boxes that we are buying. We're getting about 1,200 films shipped to us from different places. So we've been sending them boxes, and we're just paying for the shipping. We're not paying for the films. But let me tell you, the shipping ain't cheap. A box, one box sent via media mail, which is pretty much the cheapest way to ship if you're not doing a pallet, is, like a box is like 20 pounds, and it's $30. So the money that you donate is going to help that. Also, we just got another storage unit offsite to help accommodate these films. So we have, right now, we have 4 storage units offsite on top of the AV Geeks archive. And we're doing this so that we can shuffle stuff around at the archive, and maybe I'll have more news about what that means. But regardless, very much appreciate you guys watching. Even on like a vacation day. Excuse me. My goodness. We'll be back again tomorrow. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Give yourself a break. Do something a little bit different. take advantage of the day. It's hot here, but I'll figure out a way to maybe ride my bike or do something that I don't normally do. Everybody, take care. Again, thank you so much for your kind support and comments, and we will see you tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody.